Hi guys and girls, I'm Obsidian Ant and welcome back to Elite Dangerous. Today I want to have a bit of a look at the current beta that's going on. Now this, like I say, is on the beta servers, but it's due to hit the live servers at some point in early January. There was a recent update made and it now includes some military modules. Now these apply to all the military ships, and what it gives you is additional slots on all combat focused ships. If you go into core internals, you can see that right here. There are now some additional compartment slots, and into these you can fit hull reinforcements, module reinforcements, as well as shield cell banks. Now the module reinforcements are new. What these do are effectively additional protection for all your modules. So when your shields go down and you normally take module damage, these will instead stand in the way and do a bit of additional protection for you. And you can see that this basic one here gives you 30% protection, as does the 2E. So the E versions give you 30% and the D modules give you 60% protection. Now these modules do stack somewhat, but you do also get diminishing returns. The last figures I saw suggested that 2 60% modules will actually give you 84% module protection. Now the damage on them, they will take the damage for you and slowly use up their hit points effectively, but they can be repaired by the auto-filled maintenance repair unit. And this effectively allows you to stay in combat far longer without having to return back to stations. The other very interesting change is the size of these modules here. If you look at shield cell banks here, you can now fit a class 5A shield cell bank onto your Vulture in addition to a class 5A shield, and that is quite a dramatic change over what you may have had previously. In just a moment I'll come back to these ships and talk a little bit more about which ships get these additional modules, but before we get to that, let's have a look at the shipyard here. As you'll see, all the cargo vessels have actually had a massive buff in terms of the amount of armour or hull hit points they've got. They've actually been doubled. So here you can see that the hauler now has 180 hit points, and as we move through this we'll have a look at the other ships. The adder probably did count, but we've gone past that now. The Type 6 is at 324 points on the armour. So the idea here is to give trading ships a bit more protection against interdictions and other things like that. When they come under attack, their shields go down and they should be able to absorb a bit more damage. There you can see the Type 7 has 540 hit points on the hull, and the Type 9 now has a massive 864. So these have been on the beta server for a little while. They've been testing them out, and Frontier seem quite happy to leave the changes on all these trading ships as they are, and it's quite likely they will go through to the live server as they stand. But this certainly isn't true for all the changes that have been introduced into beta. Some of them are going to be rolled back, a few of them are going to be buffed, and some of them are going to be diminished a little bit before they make it to live. One of those is the military module slots, as we had a look at the beginning of these videos. So any of the ships that had 2 or more slots will now be reduced by 1. So these are as the list will currently stand. The Eagle will have 1 size 2 slot, the Imperial Eagle 1 size 2, the Viper Mark 3 and 4 will have 1 size 3 slot, the Vulture 1 size 5 slot, which is a change from what you saw early on in the video. The Federal Dropship and the Federal Gunship and the Federal Assault Ship will have 2 size 4 slots, the Anaconda 1 size 5 slot, and the Imperial Cutter and the Federal Corvette will have 2 size 5 slots. Now Frontier are still mulling over the changes to shield booster stacking. Currently on the beta server, anything past 4 shield boosters is going to have a monumental drop off, and the effect will also be the same if you have 2 heavily engineered shield boosters. Effectively then, what Frontier want to do is reduce the strength of heavily engineered shielded ships to approximately 40% of their current capabilities on the live servers, so that's a drop of 60%. These are changes that Frontier are quite happy with so far, and the tests they say are quite positive, but they still want to think about it and they want to see more feedback over the next few weeks before they actually decide whether or not this is going to go onto the live servers. There are a few changes that they do want to roll back, and one of these, and I think this will probably make quite a few people happy, is the proposed changes to gimbals are now going to retain their default status as they are on the live servers. The changes as they were tested out on the beta servers were to reduce down the range of fire on the gimbals, so they were going to reduce down the degree over which the weapons could actually track. But that's something that Frontier are now thinking of leaving on the cutting room floor, at least for the moment, and they're going to revisit at a later date. However, they are going to keep all the buffs to fixed weapons. There's a few tweaks and changes also that Frontier want to make, and one of these is to plasma accelerators. They want to reduce the absolute damage that these weapons can deal to just 60% of their total damage. and they say the remaining 40% will be divided equally between kinetic and thermal damage. There's a few other changes to weapons which will affect phasing, long range and focused upgrades, as well as fragmentation cannons. There's also a change to railguns as well. With railguns, they class it as just a token change at the moment because it's something they want to revisit a little bit later on. But what they're planning on doing with this is increasing the ammo count from 30 to 80 slugs, and they say the Imperial Hammer will go from 90 to 240 slugs, and they'll also be reducing the amount of heat generated by firing the weapon by 20%. 20% is also the same number that's going to be affecting phasing. They're going to reduce the bleed-through effect by 20%. There's also a change to the repair and reboot shield regeneration sequence. This is where you go to the side panel and get your ship to actually reboot. On the beta servers as it stands now, once the reboot cycle is complete, your shield will re-establish itself at 2 full rings. And this will happen even if you're in the middle of combat and under fire. You're taking a bit of risk, of course, because all the other damage will go to your modules and onto your hull. But if you can withstand that for the amount of time that the reboot cycle actually takes to complete, then you will find that your shields have been completely re-established. However, that is going to change. Frontier now think that it would be much better if the shields only re-establish themselves if you don't come under attack during the sequence. So basically what this means then is that the reboot cycle will be a way for you to re-establish shields during downtime. Much quicker way than just simply sitting around waiting for your shields to regenerate, because as you know, on the larger ships this can take a significant amount of time. This covers the majority of changes on the beta server at the moment. There are a few other minor changes here and there. There will be full patch notes given time, and we're about to go through the whole lot. There's just something else I'd quickly like to discuss, and this goes back to the 24-hour live stream that Frontier did. It featured David Braben during the course of the stream and a number of other developers as well. It was discussed as to whether or not there will be NPC crew members during multi-crew, and apparently it turns out that in patch 2.3 that will not be a feature, so maybe at a later date. Now, this perhaps shouldn't be too much of a shock to everyone because it was announced way back over a year ago that multi-crew wouldn't come with NPC crew members. But since then, the hope has been building even still, hoping that Frontier may have changed their stance on this, and this was bolstered a bit when seeing with ship-launched fighters and hiring the crew members there in the crew lounge. There's actually 3 slots to assign the crew members to, with 2 of them greyed out, the assumption being that maybe those other 2 slots will be unlocked when multi-crew releases. But apparently this isn't going to be the case, and for now at least when 2.3 does arrive, it will be for multiplayer only. But what will other players be able to do on board your ship? Again, that remains a complete mystery. But one thing we do know is that we won't be getting wing missions, and we won't be getting shareable multi-crew missions either. And it also appears that multi-crew is mostly focused on combat-orientated activities. There won't be any activities for trading or exploration, although I'm not really sure what type of gameplay Frontier could introduce in terms of multi-crew for exploration or trading, but then again, I'm not a developer, and the fact that I couldn't come up with gameplay for that, I just put down to my lack of imagination. And I always thought that Frontier would be able to come up with something much better than I could imagine anyway. But apparently that's not the case for now, and it's most likely going to be all combat. Yet again, this is all to be confirmed, but piecing together the various information that we've had from David Braben, from Frontier, as well as the mission streams, this is all but confirmed. But do keep in mind that sometimes information from Frontier is misinterpreted, and sometimes they do change their stance in the meantime. So what actually comes with 2.3 we don't know yet. We're going to have to wait until it actually arrives. But right now I'm curious as to what exactly the gameplay will all be about. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think of the lack of NPC multi-crew? Does it mean that multi-crew will not be much of a feature for you? Or are you looking forward to it nonetheless and have plans drawn up with your friends and group members? Do let me know in the comment section below. I look forward to hearing from you. That then brings us to the end of this video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.